and welcome to Lilybug's Library. My name's Linda. So Oliver and I are coming today with a bit of a wrap-up for October. Got a couple more that might be read before the end of it, but we are at the near the end. So I'll tell you what I've been reading. So I read Seances Are for Suckers, and it was the first in the Eleanor Wilde mysteries. So I try to do a lot of the first novels just because if I haven't read the series, I don't like to start in the middle, but I will if I have to. But anyway, Seances Are for Suckers, and it's about Ellie, who has, or Eleanor, whose sister is in the hospital and she's in a coma. She has been for quite a while. And Eleanor is actually trying to make sure that she has enough money for hospital care and things like that. So she has started working as a medium. And she's very good at it. She's not really a medium. She doesn't actually hear spirits. Instead, she's a really good fake medium. So this man comes to see her and he says that, there is a ghost in his house. He doesn't believe in ghosts and he doesn't believe in her, but his mother believes in those sort of things. And so he needs to get rid of this ghost and he hires her to do that. He doesn't care that she's fake. He figures so long as she can, excuse me, so long as she can convince his mother that she's gotten rid of the ghost, he's fine. So she goes to this place, which, let me see, it was in England. He flew her to England, and it was supposedly haunted by a ghost named Xavier. So she spends all this time trying to discover who Xavier is and why he would be haunting this family. And of course, she doesn't really believe in ghosts either. So she's thinking, all right, like it's one of the family members and they're trying to like scare somebody or get money or something. Anyway, it turns out to be a lot more complicated than what she thinks to find out what's going on. So, on top of that, of course, she's, talking with her brother at home about how her sister's doing and starts to believe that she's hearing her sister's voice, helping her solve what's going on. Anyway, it was good. It was something a little different. Um, I was trying to think what I would rate it, and probably about 4 out of 5. It was a good story. A lot of twists and turns, which I like, and um, I guess a little different because you kind of know there's shenanigans going on. And so it's not like your normal kind of cozy mystery. You don't really get, or I didn't feel it was cozy anyway. You don't get a lot of like the small town vibes or that cozy feel, but it was still good. So 4 to 5 for that one. The next one was The Witch Doctor Is In, and that was the first in the Washington Medical Vampire Ward series. And so it's Dr. Ashley McDonnell, and she's a witch, and she's running this hospital for paranormal creatures. And all these things start happening. She ends up losing her powers, and she's not really sure why. And, she's working long hours. She thinks at first it's stress. And then they bring in someone who has been turned into a vampire, and he's was Secret Service with the government, and now he's become a vampire, and so he's trying to deal with that. The two of them have an instant spark, so it's a lot of her trying to figure out what's going on with her hospital and why certain things are happening and what he has to do with it, if anything. So it was really good. I really enjoyed it. She also had a familiar. I can't remember his name, but he was cute too. I was trying to think what he was. I feel like he was. I'm sure he wasn't a cat because he had to stay warm. I feel like he was a lizard or something. I can't remember now. But anyway, he was a cute familiar, and he tried to watch out for her. But he wasn't your, like I said, your typical cat familiar. So that was interesting. So I'd give that one a 4 out of 5 as well. I thought it was really well done, and it is, like I said, the first one in that series. Might read another one of those. It was I enjoyed it, and I thought it brought in a lot of different magical creatures, which was kind of interesting. So I like that. The next one was not actually a cozy or a paranormal. Not really sure how I even ended up with it, but could have been an arc. But if it was, I don't actually remember. Maybe I saw it at the library. Anyway, it's called Walk It Off, and it was by Ruth Marshall, and it was actually her life story. She was an actress who I guess played in Degrassi, which I'm not sure if Degrassi ever made it to U.S. markets, but it was a Canadian icon for a long time. It's about teenagers in this school and all the angst that goes with that. So it was quite popular. So anyway, she was with that, and she also played, I guess, Billy Ray Cyrus's mom, I think, no, boss on the series Doc that was on for a while. So anyway, she discovers that something is wrong with her feet, and she can't really figure out what's going on. She just knows that sometimes they begin to tingle, and she feels wobbly and not very steady on her feet, and something's going on. So she tries to ignore it, and she tries to say, oh, it's this, it's that, and but she's not really paying much attention to it. So she finally finds out that what she has is a tumor. And so the whole story is going from her diagnosis to them having to remove the tumor and what goes on after that, because it's a lot of challenges and a very hard road to go through everything that happens after. So I think it appealed to me just because of some of my own problems lately, and so I thought this was an interesting story, and it's interesting the way that people deal with challenges differently. She was very reluctant to deal with any of it. I tend to be more of a head-on person sometimes, but she was, she didn't want to go to the neurologist because she was afraid what the neurologist would tell her, and then, even when she had things going on, she was very quick to tell people like, oh, this is just temporary, everything's fine, and so I felt like she, and no judgment, because I don't know how I would deal with that sort of diagnosis, but I felt very much like she was hiding from it a lot, and she was really trying to act as though everything was okay. So anyway, it was a very good book. I would give it, I think I'd probably give it 5 stars, because I really enjoyed her journey and everything she went through, and her honesty about it all. Learned a lot of things that that I didn't realize about someone who is, well, I won't tell you anymore, but someone who goes through all of that. There was a lot of medical things that I thought, oh, okay, that's interesting. Excuse me, I think my allergies are acting up today. So that one was good. It was, like I said, 5 out of 5. The next one that we read was also not any kind of paranormal. We had actually started it, I think, before the end of last month, or maybe the very beginning of the month. But it was the James Patterson story, Holmes, Marple, and Poe, the 3 biggest names in the murder business are back, it says. That's the title. It's a long title. So they start an investigation company. Now, they're not the Holmes, Marple, and Poe. That's happens to be their last names. Now, are they somehow related? We don't know. That's kind of, a mystery that never really gets solved. So they are doing all these different cases. They're a private investigator company, and so they solve these different mysteries throughout the book. it was very good. Like I like James Patterson, and I really enjoyed the way that he did this. Excuse me. So I enjoyed that part of it. But I kind of thought that it would be like there was, we'll say, four mysteries. I thought they would eventually all come together and have a bigger picture and be one mystery. That wasn't the case. It was actually four different mysteries, which I guess makes sense. I mean, private investigators, when they're investigating something, they don't necessarily have connecting mysteries or connecting cases. It's just, different ones. So really I guess, connection through it all is the three of them and the way they act with each other and all their kind of inner demons, and who they are. Because there's a police officer in the novel who's called Helene Gray. She's good at what she does, but she really kind of likes these people too. So she's balancing all of that. And in the meantime, she's trying to find out, like, where did they come from? But there's no sign of who they are really, or no path back before they became these people. So she's a little suspicious. So anyway, the whole book's very well done. I don't know if there's been other ones of these people or not. I don't think so, even though the title says they're back. I don't remember ever hearing of the book like that before. And I would read more books like that. Like I'm kind of interested for them to eventually maybe solve that mystery of who these people are. But whether we get more of those, I don't know. I mean, James Patterson seems to put out a book a week, so so maybe. But anyway, it was very good. And again, I would say, um, yeah, I'd say I'd give it 5 out of 5. And one thing I did really like in the book, and that's just my personal preference, they live in this place. Oh no, there was one little part. Sorry, I'm all over the place today. There was one little part of the mystery that didn't get explained well to me at the end. So I'm going to give it 4 out of 5, just because of that part. But anyway, what I started to say is there's the place they live in is amazing, and it's I mean, you'd have to have millions of dollars, I'm sure, to convert something. But I think it started as like an old, we'll say, bakery warehouse sort of thing, and they had it all redone, so it had like state of the art everything, and it has this a big library, and it's got all these individual apartments in it. It was anyway. It sounds really good and like secret whatever, So it's the kind of place I'd like to live, but not necessarily solve murders. So there was that one. I was editing and realized that the Holmes, Marple, and Poe book is actually an ARC that I got from NetGalley. So my apologies that I didn't stick that in there earlier. But thank you to NetGalley and to Mr. Patterson and the publisher for giving me a chance to read that. And again, I did really enjoy it. And then the next one, we're back to the paranormal, and it was called Eat, Drink, and Be Scary. So it takes place in a place called Raven Mist, which is a tiny Midwestern town. Actually, I like the way they describe it. A tiny Midwestern town with charming covered bridges, quirky residents, delightful antique shops, and more than their share of haunted activity. So there's a fall festival, and of course it brings in, spooky decorations and costumes and all the rest. But in this woman named Teddy, which is short for Theodosia, she runs the inn there, and she has all these people there for this Halloween festival. And there's a police officer, can't remember his name, maybe I can find it here in my notes. Local sheriff, but no, doesn't. I don't see his name. But anyway, it doesn't matter. He comes to see her often. He apparently was from Chicago, and he has moved to this little town. But he's very safety conscious. And so every time she tries to do anything, he's right there saying, like, I don't think you should do that. Oh, maybe you better fix that, you know? And so she goes to have this Halloween festival, and he's concerned because he's concerned that, you know, someone will get hurt. Well, turns out in this case he's right because someone ends up dying while they're bobbing for apples, but it wasn't because they were bobbing for apples, it's because they were murdered. And so it's them trying to solve this murder. And as the story goes on, you realize that, you know, he's pretty sweet on her, and that's why he worries so much. So that's part of it. But anyway, it was really good, and it turns out there's a ghost living in her closet, which she didn't realize, as well as some other ghosts in the town. And she knew the town was supposed to be haunted, but this was the first time she'd actually heard from any of the ghosts or could see any of them. So it was interesting that way. So that one, 4 out of 5 for that one. It was maybe I'm an easy marker, I don't know, but I enjoy almost everything I read, so I thought that one was really good. The next one was called Cruel Candy, and it was the first in the Cozy Corgi mystery. And it has takes place in Estes Park, Colorado, and it has Winifred Page, and she calls herself Fred instead of Winifred. So Fred Page and her corgi Watson. So she is enticed to come to town and open up a bookstore there. Because it was a shop that her stepfather and mother had owned, and the person who had run it, they actually ran it as a taxidermy shop, and then they died, and so her mother and stepfather said, like, come here, you can start this, and so she agrees to do that. But when she gets there, and she and Watson meet a couple of the people in the town, and then they go into this shop that's supposed to be hers, and she goes upstairs and finds a person dead there. So she's, you know, freaking out, and then some of the one of the police officers shows up and doesn't seem, I mean, not that she would necessarily would be friendly, but she doesn't seem at all friendly to this Fred. And so Fred's a little taken aback by that because, I mean, she just got to town. I mean, she couldn't have ticked anybody off yet. And then there's another police officer that she has more interest in, this male police officer that she finds him very handsome and, you know, easier to deal with, until he ends up arresting her stepfather. And so they butt heads throughout that, trying to get him off and trying to figure out who killed this person. And so the whole thing is very cute, and she talks to the corgi, and, you know, like, he's very motivated by food, as most corgis are, and so there's a lot of stuff about that. Now, I did read that other corgi mystery before, where the corgi talked back, and this one, of course, doesn't speak. So cute, but I don't know. I'm really kind of fond of the talking corgi. What can I say? We all want a talking dog, don't we? But this was good. It, you know, it was interesting. There was a few twists to it that you think. I don't like to give anything away. So it, the person who turns out to be the murderer, you know, you're not necessarily expecting, and then, you know, the reasoning for it. And anyway, it was quite good. Let me see. Trying to think what I would give that one. I would probably give it 3.5 out of 5. And so that was everything that I have read so far in the last week or two. So working on one now called Haunting Danielle. It's called The Ghost of Marlowe House, and then it's the first in the Haunting Danielle series. Haven't finished it. We're working on it. And I don't know how many more I'll have time for before the end of the month, but we'll see how it goes. And that is about it from me. So I'm hoping that you're having a great day and that you found some some good reads for the spooky season. Maybe it's something like a cozy mystery. Maybe it's something a little more haunting. But whatever it is, I hope you enjoy it. So feel free to comment in the comment down below, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.